Welcome to Retail's Most Wanted, the podcast that examines the latest issues related to organized retail crime and how retailers and policymakers are fighting back against today's organized crime syndicates. Coming up on our show today, a conversation with Mayor Phil Brock of Santa Monica, California, to understand better how organized retail crime is impacting his community and what he is proposing to do about it. All that coming up right after this message from our sponsors. Retail's Most Wanted is brought to you in partnership with the Attorney General Alliance, where U.S. State Attorneys General collaborate on emerging legal issues and the rule of law at home and across borders. Learn more at agalliance.com. Retail's Most Wanted is brought to you in partnership with LVT, securing physical environments through intelligent automation. Learn more at lvt.com. That's lvt.com. Phil Brock was elected to the Santa Monica City Council back in 2020, and he currently serves as mayor, a second-generation Santa Monica resident. Mayor Brock makes the safety and security of the city's residents, businesses, and visitors his top priority. Mayor, thanks so much for joining us today.
No problem. Happy to be here.
All right, Mayor, let's start here. Can you give us an overview of the current state of organized retail crime in Santa Monica? How bad is the problem right now?
I don't know if it's organized. So I'm going to sort of say that our problem in Santa Monica is more just people coming in randomly and grabbing stuff and walking out of stores. I mean, you see that in Target, you see it at Trader Joe's, you see it in a number of locations in the city. We're not having large-scale smash and grabs, but what we're having instead is we have a large unhoused population who has decided they can just walk into a store and walk out with clothes or merchandise without any real fear of retribution. And that is more our issue because some stores report 6 to 8 incidents of shoplifting on a daily basis. And that's something that's not sustainable for retail stores.
How do you think the word gets to those particular individuals who are committing these crimes that they can just kind of walk in and take stuff and walk out? Is that driven by the fact that organized retail crime syndicates have been successful in other parts of the country, other parts of California, that maybe it's emboldened some of these folks?
Well, I think, look at it, successful all over LA County because our DA is not prosecuting. Our judges are not requiring bail, so they let people out with citations. If you can go into a store and walk out with $200 worth of merchandise in 3 minutes, walk into another store, grab similar amounts, and keep going throughout the day. I mean, the $950 retail crime limit before you get taken in for a felony at this point in LA County is ludicrous. And stores cannot keep retail stock in stock. They're having to hire private armed security guards. And those security guards really don't want to get involved either. Neither do the stores, because they can get sued by the person who shoplifted. And that's an issue. So I think you need to change the scenario of letting people walk in LA County without any fear of being caught or having any consequences. You have to have consequences, or what's happening. And it's not only the large scale theft that obviously there was one at AutoZone in another part of Los Angeles last night, but what you see happening in a lot of cases is just the person who walks into a store and grabs stuff. And I've said many times now in town halls in my city, are you buying your groceries? People look at me and go, raise their hands. Of course we are. And you sort of say, why? Unless you're buying $960 or you're shoplifting $960 worth, you can walk out of the store. Well, as we all know, that's absurd.
Yeah, not sustainable at the very least. So it sounds like there's a larger public policy problem. I'm wondering, before we get to that, what specific measures have you taken in Santa Monica to combat this problem?
Well, we're asking store owners to work with our police department with undercover stings, with making sure the police go in and look around the store and see what they can advise as far as making your store more shoplifter and theft proof. In addition to that, we've stepped up our response times and enforcement in case the store is having something happen. But you have stores, frankly, that don't want to call the police. They're afraid their insurance will go up. They're afraid that there will be retribution by the shoplifters and come back and smash their windows. And they don't want their store staffs to get involved. So, it was interesting. We had last month, and it was in the media around LA. I don't know if it made the national news at all, but we had a store manager at a store on our Tony Montana Avenue shopping area who stopped a shoplifter outside the store and demanded the merchandise back. And the shoplifter even knew, but you can't touch me. You can't go in my bag. And she gave back two of the three jackets she had just stolen from this small boutique. But the fact that this shoplifter started arguing about her rights. And what about the store owner's rights? What about the store owner who was about to lose $1,000 worth of merchandise? How does she sustain that as a small boutique owner?
It's interesting when you mention, they don't want to call police because their insurance may go up. And then on the flip side of that a perpetrator in this case seems to understand, his rights in this situation. It feels like there's every incentive for people to commit the crime and no incentive for anyone to push back on it. That's got to be very frustrating for you as a mayor.
Well, I think it's extremely frustrating because as a mayor or a council person in the city, your absolute first responsibility is the public safety of your residents. And if a store wants to end up closing because of retail theft, it becomes not worth it for them to stay open. Well, that hurts our entire economy. And look, I'm someone who is very pro small business. I used to be a small businessman. I still am. But I was in retail for about a decade. And if someone stole something from your store, that's a total loss. It probably means at the end of the day, you made zero.
Yeah, and you mentioned insurance rates can go up maybe by calling the police, but they certainly go up when you have to make claims against shrinkage that you have in your store.
Yeah.
I imagine, like, when you're looking at this from your position as the mayor and you're trying to look at, you mentioned public safety first and foremost, but also the overall economic health of your municipality, there comes like a tipping point. And I wonder how close you think you're getting to that, where new businesses coming in are saying, I can't play by these rules, or businesses that are there start to say, this just is not a fair setup for us, and we need to be in business somewhere else.
I think it becomes a double. There's a few different things. In Santa Monica, we've had large incidences of homelessness, of people coming from Los Angeles, other cities in the nation, who homeless people look and say, hey, they have a beach. The weather's good. Will this come? But what that's done is it's not only the shoplifting, but it's also the atmosphere around their stores, around our downtown area, where people see thefts. Store employees start to worry about potential assaults by homeless individuals. And a store like J. Crew or Madewell decides that, you know what, we're not closing stores as a rule, but this store has become too expensive to operate because our employees don't want to be there. We have people come in to steal, and they just close up. Because your residents then, if they hear that there's a lot of thefts, if your residents feel that there's a chance that they're not safe walking or driving to your downtown area, they don't come back either. So in Santa Monica, we're down to about 9% of our residents who will venture into our downtown shopping area. Well, that spirals. So if you're a store like Patagonia and you now have to have a guard at your door, that's worrisome. If you're a store like REI, which had a major store in Santa Monica, they just closed and moved to Marina del Rey because they don't have to worry about assaults. They don't have to worry about shoplifting. and it's a cleaner environment for them. Well, that hurts our sales tax economy, and it hurts the welfare of other stores who then also feel like they shouldn't come in and open. So we end up being on a death spiral, which is not of our own making, but it is when our county district attorney in Los Angeles won't prosecute, when people know they can get away with stealing. And look at our record, I think, from our police department is 4 different citations in one day to one person who went into 4 different stores, shoplifted, got caught each time, got taken down to the police station, written a ticket, and released before the police officer was able to even finish the report. Now that has to change. There are 7 anti-shoplifting bills now in the legislature in California, and a potential ballot measure to reverse the effects of Proposition 14 in California. So we have to hope that the pendulum is swinging back toward the middle, that allowing people to shoplift almost $1,000 in one day is way too much.
So it's not a municipal policy issue, right? This is something that if you could change it tomorrow, you'd change it, but you have to work your way sort of up that food chain, so to speak, to the state legislature. That gets tricky in California with such a big state.
The state is there are 7 bills right now before the legislature to change shoplifting and drug abuse both. But the shoplifting bills don't necessarily go far enough. I mean, frankly, as an ex-retailer, the amount you should be allowed to shoplift before being handcuffed is 0. Frankly, the measures now want to change the amount to $450 in a day. Excuse me? That's ridiculous, to be honest with you. So you have to have those consequences. You have to have that ability to have someone taken off the streets who wants to steal from you.
It used to be that it was just wrong to steal. Now it's okay to steal, but let's argue over the dollar amount. That does seem just crazy to me as well.
Well, and that's permeated to the drug addicts, the organized retail theft, the shoplifters. For the organized retail theft, a lot of times they're using minors because the minors won't be held, and the minors probably will have very little accounting for what they sold. So they've gone to 16, 17-year-olds, 15-year-olds to run in the stores and then sell that merchandise back or get paid, for that merchandise. If you are a drug addict, there are corner markets that you can go to trade the toothpaste you stole or whatever it is for more fentanyl or meth. It's not only, though, taking away the drugs, and stopping that and enforcing those laws, but you have to enforce shoplifting laws. And frankly, the onus can't just be on the retailer to have to push a citizen's arrest and put their store employee in jeopardy. It has to be that their videotape or their account of this guy that's our merchandise in his pocket or in his bag. That has to be enough. We have to change that rule too. And I'm not sure how many states that is a law in, but having a store employee have to swear that arrest warrant is silly. Because how do you stop people then?
Yeah. Last time I checked, that was why stores print a receipt so you can prove that you paid for the merchandise that you're leaving the store with. Okay, so this is... Yeah.
No, I was just saying, I think I read last Friday, even Costco now may get sued, or people are being told they don't have to stop to show their receipts there. My local Costco just switched their checkout aisle, which was the closest aisles to the front door, to the back of the store in the last 2 weeks, so that it would take longer for someone to run out of the store and they'd have more chance to catch that person. That's a sad state of affairs.
So you've mentioned some of this this legislation that's working its way through the California state legislature. what role are you taking with that? Like, you seem very fired up about this issue. You're very passionate about it. Are you working with members of the legislature, not only maybe representatives who represent your part of the state, but also, are you working in the legislature to try to get this passed?
Rick Zabur, Assemblyman Rick Zabur, is our legislator, and the governor assigned him the responsibility to get these retail shoplifting laws through. At the same time, I was one of the principal Southern California sponsors of a redo of Prop 47 in California. The governor now is saying, or the legislature, to kill that bill, is putting a poison pill in their shoplifting laws that says that if the people of the state of California pass this other Prop 47 adjustment, that all the shoplifting laws would have a poison pill and they would immediately cease to operate, which is absolutely ridiculous, because you need both the governor's shoplifting laws and you need this other proposition or to go through as well, because that will enforce drug abuse laws and will tighten up shoplifting even more. So you really need that combination. What they're afraid of in Sacramento is they don't want to put people in jail. I don't want people in jail either. I want them in rehab, but I also can't afford to have them on the streets, knowing that they can make their living by stealing from other merchants. And regardless of whether the merchant is Macy's or the merchant is mom and pop bookstore on the corner, all those people have a stake in it. They've all purchased their merchandise. They all have staff. None of them can afford to keep bleeding because of shoplifting and because of organized retail crime.
Yeah. Mayor, I'll get you out of here on this one. Give me a glance into the crystal ball. Maybe you could do where you hope this is, or where do you think this issue is when we get a year or 5 years down the road?
Well, I think after the George Floyd murder, I think everyone in the country took the pendulum far to the left. Said, we don't want to put people in jail. Oh my God, the penalties. Oh my God, police are abusing residents of the city and visitors. I think now we're seeing that come back to the middle. And really in the middle is where that pendulum should be. We don't want to mass incarcerate people, but you have to have a way of discouraging that theft, that crime. If you have a 3-year-old and you're walking down the sidewalk and the 3-year-old darts in the street, and while your heart is in your mouth right then and you're desperately trying to rescue your son or daughter, I have the feeling you're probably going to make it very clear to that child that they can't run into the street anymore on their own, that there are rules to keep them safe and keep them alive. Those same rules have to be given to shoplifters, given to people of organized theft, to make them understand that this is not acceptable, that they can't do that anymore. I think we're seeing that, across the nation. We're seeing both drug laws, shoplifting laws, crime laws creep back toward the middle. I don't want them to go all the way to the right, because we really aren't helping people by throwing them in jail. But they have to understand that everyone has a right to do business in a city and be safe. Every customer has the right to walk into a store and not see a crime happen in front of them. And the perfect example was Governor Newsom in California walking into a store a few months ago and watching people just run out of the store without paying. And I was, he was sort of like, wait, this is really happening. Well, anybody in a retail anywhere in the state of California could have told them this is happening and it has to stop. So I hope that 5 years from now, we've gone back, not forward, we've gone back to a time when people don't feel it's right to just steal from others.
Mayor Brock, thank you so much for your time today and for all the work you're doing to fight this good fight, fighting back against organized retail crime and just retail crime in your city in general. So thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
All right, that's it for this episode of Retail's Most Wanted. Thanks to our presenting sponsors, LVT and the Attorney General Alliance. Don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button so you can catch each new episode. We drop a new one 3 times each month. We're also on X, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube. Links to all of those in the show notes below. Thanks for being with us as always, everyone, and keep up the good fight.